Hello everyone, this is Hackett. I am going to be working on a network project, a network lab. In this network lab, we're going to design a very simple network infrastructure. This network infrastructure will include a Cisco FDD, a Cisco FMC. We're going to use Cisco switches, and then we're going to have different subnets. For one subnet will be for pen testing that we will use to pen test the other subnets. These subnets are going to basically going to be using different VLANs. To get started, we're going to go ahead and download GNS3. We're going to need GNS3, and then we're also going to need VMware. To get started, I would just go ahead and go download GNS3, and it should be right here. So you'd go ahead and download it and install it. It's pretty straightforward. Once you have that downloaded, then what we would do next is download GNS3 VM, and there should be right here. So I'm personally using VMware because I have tested GNS3 on VirtualBox and I didn't really like it. So I had gone ahead and set up GNS3 on the VMware workstation, just in my preference much better, and I would also recommend you do the same thing. Once you have those set up, you would go ahead and start up your VMware. And then what you got to do is you add this VM, the file you just downloaded, add that into VMware, and it will set up the VMware for you. And from there, it's pretty straightforward. You just click on power on the machine, and it will boot up GNS3 VM for you. It's preferred to do it this way because this is going to virtualize all the images you'd have in GNS3. So let's say the Cisco switches or firewalls will all be virtualized inside this VMware. So it's pretty simple and straightforward to do this. Also, I would also recommend that you go in the settings for the VM and make sure you give it. I have given it 8 processors, and then my memory is 14 gigabytes. I did this because I know I'm going to be putting in a lot of images for the routers and switches and firewalls and computers and Linux and all that. So I wanted to have good enough memory and good enough processors to actually compute all of that. So yeah, I would highly recommend you do this. And just click OK once all this is done, and you will see this here. This will show you the IP address for the GNS3 server, sorry, GNS3 VMware. Once you have this set up, it's straightforward, and you open up GNS3 itself. And then I'm going to go ahead and open it. You can either create a new project or open a project. I'm just going to go ahead and open one. My project is not here. My project saved in here, so I'll go ahead and open that up. Name data recording. Just okay. Once you do that, give it a few seconds. It will do its thing. It will make sure everything is up. It's gonna connect the desktop local server, and then it's gonna connect the VMware. This might take a few seconds, so just bear with me, and we'll be right back when everything is set up. All right, so it has picked up on the VM, and it has also picked up the local server for the GNS3. Once we're in here, everything should be set, and we should be good to go. So we're gonna start with getting ourselves a connection into the infrastructure we're building here. So I want to be able to access the firewalls from my actual PC's browser, which will make life much easier. So to do that, we would have to go to the network settings, and then you would in here. Sorry, it's not going to be in the network connections. It's going to be, would have to go to device manager, and then we'll go ahead and click on the device name, click on action, and then add legacy hardware. Click next, install the hardware menu, select from the advanced list. Then we go and find network adapters, and then we pick the Microsoft loopback. Would have to look for this. Let me see if I could find it. Oh, sorry, we have to go in here to Microsoft. I totally forgot. And it's right here, Microsoft KM test loopback. You click next, you finish, and once you have it set up, you would go to your network settings. You can simply go there by clicking on network and internet settings, and then there should be view advanced network settings and hardware and connection. Now, trying to figure out how do you. I don't personally like Windows 11. It's just too many menus now. Uh, so the easiest way of getting there is just searching network settings, and this will open up. Once you're in here, you will see your loopback. I named mine GNS loop, so you can rename it to whatever you want. There's an option to rename this connection. Just click on it and it'll let you rename it. Once you're in here, you want to go to properties, and then you want to go to TCP/IP4. Now what you want to do next is open command prompt, type in ipconfig. So our actual wireless lane's IP address is let's see where we can find it. So it's right here. Oh, so Wi-Fi 2. So we have 10.0.0.33. So this really doesn't matter, but I would recommend that you use the same starting subnet for this, so it's easier for you to understand how it'll actually work. So I've gone ahead and set my IPv4 address to 10.1.1.2, and then the subnet is WAC24, so 255.255.255.0. Once you do that, just click OK. Click OK again, and this is all done now. Now the next step is going to be on the GNS. Once we're on GNS here, we're gonna go in here, and these are all the devices I have in here. So the Cisco images, you'd have to find it yourself, since we're not allowed to actually give out images. They have to come directly from Cisco. But you can get the images. To be honest with you, you just have to look hard enough, if you know what I mean, and you should be able to find these pretty easily. So once we're in here, step one is going to be getting a cloud connection to our actual desktop in here, so we can access all the firewalls through this cloud connection uh, using our actual browser, not the VM GNS3. So once you click on the cloud, make sure you select the desktop, not the GNS VM, GNS3 VM. So desktop, okay. Now we have this beautiful cloud in here. Let me zoom out a little bit. Let's put this right up here. And then what we want to do next is we are going to go ahead and put a simple Ethernet switch. I'm not going to use a Cisco one here because this switch doesn't really require much configuration. It just works as a switch, so it's pretty straightforward. And I will put this into the GNS VM. So now we're going to connect these two together. So now this is a very important step. Uh, on the switch, you can pick any interface. It doesn't really matter, but I'm just going to go with for the very first one. And then once you connect to the cloud, you want to make sure you pick the loopback the loopback interface you just made. Uh, the one we just had set up for Microsoft. Make sure you pick that one. So that way we can get a connection going in here. So once that is done, uh, this should just show like this. You have the cloud one connected to switch, and then let's go ahead and give these proper names and IP addresses. So let's just call this 10.1.1.2. This is the IP address we assigned in the network settings for the PC for the GNS loop interface. So whatever IP address you assign, you can just write it down. It makes things easier to understand, and you don't have to worry about it later if you forget. So that's that. We have the switch right here. Now what we want to do is we want to set up our FMC, and then our FTD. So I'll go ahead and start with the FMC. We'll drag it out and put it right here. And then we're also going to need an FTD. So the problem with FTDs is that the version I have or I was able to find is not going to work standalone. I cannot manage it locally, so it has to be connected to a FMC for this to work, for the firewall to actually work. So for that to happen, we're gonna go ahead and set this up nicely. Ethernet 1 will go ahead and connect to the FMC, so that's on the same subnet. And then we're gonna go ahead and do the same for our FTD, and this can go on Ethernet 2. Now, once these two are here, what you would want to do is click on this green button, and this is going to get everything started up. Uh, this will take a while. I'm going to be very honest with you guys, because it is a VMware, and usually it takes a while for all this to work. So I'll go ahead and pause this video until everything is actually gone through, and we see, or we're able to make inputs into both of these firewalls, firewall and the firewall management center. So I'll go ahead and pause the video and come back to you guys when these things actually start up. Alright, so our FTD is up. We're still waiting on the FMC. That might still take a while. So we'll go ahead and set up the FTD first. So it's asking for the login. The initial login is always going to be admin, and then the password is always going to be capital A admin 123. And it's going to make you go through this. And keep pressing space, 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 space. And you type in yes. And it's asking me to log in again, which is weird. Huh, that's interesting. Oh, it's because I didn't type it all caps. Okay, now it's gonna ask you to set up a new password, which you can do. Oh, do mine. And that should be done. Now it's gonna ask you do you want to configure IPv4? We do want to configure IPv4, yes. Do you want to configure IPv6? No, we don't. Configure IPv4, no, we're gonna not be using DHCP for this setup, at least for now. IPv address for the management interface. So I'd use 10.1.1. Let's go with 10.10. Let's go with 11, and we'll use 10 for the FMC. The net mask is going to be 255.255.255.0. Default gateway is going to be the 10.1.1.2. That 10.1.1.2 is coming from the interface we recently set up on our actual computer. And fully qualified, just call it FTD, doesn't really matter. And it comes to list for DNS servers, none for now because we're not going to really be using the internet here. None. Oh, sorry. You will need to reconnect if your network information change. You will need to connect. Doesn't matter. Configure firewall mode. So we wanna use the routed firewall mode. And this is also going to take just a few seconds. We're still waiting on our FMC. FMC could take about depending on how much you have given your VM machine on the VMware workstation. This could take about from 10 to 15 minutes to up to 30 to 40 minutes, depending on the resources the virtual machine has. So yeah, just don't lose hope. Just wait it out, and it will eventually go through, unless you actually get an error. Some images don't really work, so you have to find the image that actually works. That could be a pain, but you'll manage eventually. You must use the same. Okay, so I believe we are in the FTD now, so we can check show network. This should show us the management interface's IP address that we just set up. Let's give it a few seconds. There we go. So here you can see we have the 10.1.1.11, VAC 25, VAC 24, and then we have the broadcast of 255. Okay, that looks perfectly fine. Now we're just gonna have to wait on the FMC. I'm gonna go ahead and pause the video, and whenever it's done, I'll resume it and we'll continue. Okay, and we're back. The FMC seems to be up and running. It's asking for a login. Same thing here. Admin for the username, capital A, admin 123 for the password, and we seem to be in. Uh, so it seems like the network wizard did not start properly. So I went ahead and Googled the command we need to actually start up the network wizard for the FMC so we can set up the management IP address that we can try and reach through our browser. So this is the command here that we're going to be needing. So let's go ahead and type that in. So we have sudo user local sf bin configure network, and admin password is, and there we go. It has started the process of the initial network setup. So it's asking us to set up the IPv4, which we do want. Management IP interface is going to be 10.1.1.10. Management net mask is going to be 255.255.255.0. The management default gateway is 10.1.1.2. Yes, all of these settings are indeed correct. We do not wish to set up IPv6. Now just give this a few seconds. So that's basically us just setting up the management interface. So this is the IP address we're going to use to reach the firewall's web UI. So that way we can manage our firewalls properly. Okay, so we can now go to 10.1.1.10 on our actual laptop or PC. 10.1.1.10. I'll give it a few seconds. Actually, we have to do HTTPS // 10.1.1.10. And there you go. Make sure you type in HTTPS because sometimes it doesn't work. So we go advanced and we go proceed. Okay, so this is the actual FMC web UI that we are going to use to manage our FTD. So the password username here is same as admin, and the password is the same as I told you guys before, capital A admin 123. Okay, so this is gonna make you change the password here. You can pick whatever you want. This is the initial setup for the web UI, and everything seems fine here. None of this really matters. I have agreed, apply. You just specify primary or secondary DNS. Okay, so we can just, for the primary DNS, we could go 8.8.8.8, and for the secondary, we can go 4.4.4.4. And it should be good now. I don't think there's anything else we need here. It's taking unusually long. Oh, there we go. Okay, accept. All right, so we're in the FMC now. Now the next step is going to be configuring the manager on our actual FTD. So that way we can add it in here as our device. So let's go ahead and do that. Go back to our FTD. Go ahead and configure manager add. I believe that was it. Add question mark. So we provided the IP address for the FMC, which was 10.1.1.10, and the secret key. So you have to add a secret key here. So it would just be Cisco 123. Let's just make sure that's what it is. Yep. Yes, Cisco 123. And So this key can be whatever you want it to be. I'm just using Cisco 123 because it's pretty straightforward, simple enough. We're gonna have to use that key in the FMC to register the FTD with the FMC. So make sure to remember that key. I'll just give it a few seconds. This is gonna add the manager IP address that we have for the FMC that we just set up recently. Okay, set up. So now we go back to our FMC, go to devices, click on add a device. All the system processes are still starting. Okay, this might take a while. The FMC is still not properly fully set up, which makes sense since it didn't give us a prompt initially to set up the IPv4 addresses. It's totally cool. I'm gonna go ahead and pause the video again, and once it is all done set up, we shall return. Okay, so it seems like it is finished setting up everything. So we go ahead and click on add device. So this is the IP address, the management IP address we set for the FTD, which was 10.1.1.11. Display name, FTD, registration key. This is the registration key I told you how to remember. Make sure you put that same key in here for anything to work. But if the keys are wrong, nothing's gonna work. The device won't get added to the FMC. Group none, access control, create a new policy. Default policy. Uh, Block all traffic. This doesn't matter. Save. This is basically our ACLs. Okay, everything seems fine. Now we click on register and hopefully this gets added and set up properly. I think everything is in place for this to work. We have these two on the same subnet on the same switch, and we're using this through the cloud. So while that's happening, let's go ahead and write our IP addresses here. So this is 10.1.1, sorry, 10.1.1.11. Let's keep it right here, and this one is going to be 10.1.1.10. These are the management IPs. Make sure we don't lose these. Okay, still going through it. Let's go ahead and put this all over here. This is our management subnet. So style this and give it a nice color. Let's go with yellow. Okay. So we are manage. Leave it right here. That looks nice enough to me. Perfect. See how this is doing here. Still going. Let's now move on while that's going in the background. Let's move on to what we're going to be doing next. So the plan here is that we will go ahead and set up a Cisco switch. So we're going to need a switch, and we're going to create another subnet, which is going to have its own VLAN, and that's going to be our pen test subnet. We're going to have a Kali machine in there. It's going to be isolated, and we're going to use that subnet and that separate VLAN to try and hack into the inside subnet or inside VLAN where all the devices are going to be. And eventually, maybe in the next videos, I'll go ahead and also set up security onion to monitor traffic on the inside and on the outside interfaces of the firewall. So that way we can see what's going on the inside of the network and also on the outside. So let's go ahead and get that started. It seems like there might be a problem here because this is taking longer than usual. But let's just hope it goes through. Okay, so We have the switch right here. We'll set this up with the actual firewall, which is the FTD. Start with 02. Set it up here. Okay. So let's zoom out a little bit. Make sure we have enough space here. Okay. All right. Let's keep it right here. Okay, could I understand the connection? Make sure the registration key match. Okay, so I might have an idea of what the problem is. So this interface right here needs to go into the management interface. This needs to be connected here. Okay, let's try. Yeah, that might be it because we're given the IP address with the 10.1.1.11 to the management interface, and we did not actually connect that to the switch itself. So I'll go ahead and try again. While this is happening, let's go back to our topology. So we have the switch right here. This switch is going to have a Kali machine on it. Where is Kali Linux right here? Let's put this down here. I'm going to connect this to Kali on Ethernet 0. And let's go ahead and label everything here properly. So the subnet, let's say, is going to be 192.168.1. Yeah, we could do .1.10. Actually, since this is the pen tester, so let's do 2.10. Oh, so there's a license problem. So luckily, we don't have to worry about that because this is a VMware, so we can just use the evaluation mode here. But I'm glad to know that we can actually add the firewall since it didn't give us any actual errors this time. So host was 10.1.1.11 DD registration key was cisco 123 default policy, and we should enable all of these just because we have the privilege of doing so with the evaluation for the license. So let's register it now and go back to our topology again. So this is what it seems here. Let's move things a little back here because I want to have more space for everything else. 10.1.10, 10.1.11, management. Okay. So the switch, so that's one of our VLAN subnets, and then we're gonna make another one. Let's get ourselves a VPC right here. One in the VM, PC1, PC2, and then we can also throw a CentOS. Let's connect them all. Internet 0 to 2, Ethernet 0 to 3, Ethernet 0 to 0. Okay, so let's go and check on our firewall. Firewall seems to be added here. I'll give it a few more minutes. Let's go ahead and set this up. This is our pen test VLAN. Style this, make it red. Apply. Looks nice. That doesn't look nice. Let's change the color to something else. A lighter red maybe will look nice. Let's try that. Okay, much better. And this would be the pen test VLAN subnet. Just waiting on the firewall. Okay, that seemed to have done it. The firewall is now connected. It's great news. So what we want to do in the FMC now is we're gonna use just one interface that's going to the switch, and then we'll have sub interfaces for that particular interface. Each sub interface is gonna be its own VLAN, and we will use those sub interfaces as the default gateways. Basically, they will be the default gateways, and they'll also have their DHCP servers running for each subnet, which will give out IP addresses to whatever's connected to that particular VLAN. So let's go ahead and set up 0, 1. Let's give it a name inside security zone. Let's make a new zone. Let's call it inside. And we don't really have to give this any IP addresses since this is the physical interface itself. But let's just enable the interface though. Make sure you do that. Once that is done, it uh, should be good to turn on the switch. Once the switch is on, we can open this and configure the switch quickly. Just make sure the interfaces are up. Trying to remember. Yeah, there you go, interface labels. Okay, back to the switch. Okay, we'll let it go do its thing for a while we set up everything in here. So make sure to click save. We're gonna add some sub interfaces here. Ethernet 01 sub interface ID is gonna be for the pen test. Let's go with sub interface ID 2. Let's also go with VLAN ID 2. And then we're gonna assign an IP address 192.168.2.0, sorry, 2.1. Go back 24. Click on OK. Security zone, new pen test. And then name the interface pen test 2. Okay. Okay, that's one interface, sub interface up. Make sure you save. Let's create another sub interface. This one is going to be called inside PCs security zone. Call it, or actually we can just use the inside zone on this since it belongs to the inside. And IPv4 here, sorry, the sub interface. So we're gonna use the VLAN ID 3 here. Sorry, the sub interface ID is 3, the VLAN ID is also 3, the IP address can be 192.168.1. Let's do .3.1. Enabled inside, everything seems fine. Oh, sorry, we forgot the physical interface. So it's the same as before, 0, 1. and OK. Forget the net mask. So save this. So make sure they're enabled. This one is enabled and this one is also enabled. Since we're doing this, might as well set up the DHCP servers here too. So let's set up the DHCP for pen test. It doesn't really matter since we only have one callie in there, but we can add additional devices later on, so might as well just do this. So 192.168.2. Start from 3 to 192.168.2. Let's do 10. Enable the DHCP server. Okay. Save this. Click to interface. And then we have .3 for the inside PCs. So let's do that too. It's the inside zone, inside PC zone, sorry. Yep. Address pool is 192.168.3. Start from 3 and then 192.168.3. 15. Enable the DHCP server. Okay, save changes. Go ahead and deploy these changes to the FTD. Now while that's happening, let's go back to our switch. Okay, go ahead and enable and conf t. So configuration terminal. We go to interface GI00. So we want to set this interface as a trunk port because this is the interface that's going to be used to get all the VLAN tagged VLAN data go through this interface to the firewall itself, back and forth. So yeah, this interface has to be trunked. To do that, we will have to do switch port mode trunk. That did not work. Switch port mode. Switch port, sorry, trunk. Encapsulation dot 1Q. And then we do switch port mode trunk. And then we do switch port trunk allowed VLAN. Oh, we actually, before we do that, I totally forgot. Well, okay, let's go all the way back just so you guys know what I'm doing. So we go enable. Sorry, we go enable, and then we go conf t, and we go VLAN. I believe it was 2. Name is pentest. You go exit. Now you have the VLAN set up. That's basically us just setting up the VLAN. Then we go to interface back, interface, and then actually we have to create the other VLAN too, VLAN 3. I just want to make sure that this is the right information that we went with. And here, what did we? Okay, so 3, 1 and 3. Perfect, makes sense. Okay. VLAN 3. Name inside PCs. Exit. And then we go to interface GI0-0. Once we're in here, we've already set it to trunk port, so now we want to do switch port trunk allowed VLAN. We'll just do all for now. You can go ahead and do 2 and 3 as well, but I would just go all for now. We'll try and later exploit this and see if we can get our way into other VLANs if we use tagged packets and all that. So once this is done, we do no shut on the interface, so it turns on. Then we do exit here, exit one more time, and we do write memory. Do write memory. This should save everything on this switch. Perfect. All right, now the interface should be up. Let's see if it shows up here. It also shows up here. You see the small green circles. That's perfect. Next step is going to turn in. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and turn on the Kali. So start Kali. While that's happening, I totally forgot about the interface that's connected to the Kali Linux machine. So we also gotta do that. We go conf t, we go to interface. What is our interface here? GI0/1. Actually, before I do that, let's go exit one more time. Show. I want to make sure that the trunk port was set properly. Show interfaces trunk. Yeah, 00 is trunked, which is perfect. That's what we wanted. So conf t again. Interface GI01. Switch port mode access. So this is going to be an access port, which basically means is that we're going to allow a certain VLAN to access this port. So anything that's connected to this port is going to belong to that VLAN. So switch port access VLAN 2, and then we do no shut on the interface itself, so it turns on, and we exit, and we write to memory one more time. Right, sorry, right memory. Okay, perfect. Now we go back in Kali, run it. Let's try and run the live version. It's not registering. So go ahead and turn it off. Turn it back on. Huh. Let me give it a few seconds. I'll go ahead and pause the video and come back once this is done doing whatever it's doing right now. Okay, it seems like it's back to being normal and working. So I booted up Kali. So what I'm trying to see here is if our DHCP server is working and if the Kali Linux machine is getting assigned an IP address. If those two cases are true, then our configuration on the switch is working properly, which is great. Let's go and see if we have an IP address here. And it's, oh, we have a lot of interfaces. Yeah, it seems like we do have an IP address, and it is 192.168.2.3. So it's picking up the DHCP server, which is amazing. That's exactly what we wanted to see. Let's do a quick Wireshark and see what kind of data is going around. So we go to Wireshark. I'm surprised it has so many interfaces. Usually it doesn't. We can change that though later on. Okay, so there's STP going on, spanning tree protocol, which is cool. That's all we should be seeing here. There's CDP because of the Cisco firewall and switch. They're talking to each other. That's Cisco Discovery Protocol, by the way. Okay, that's great news. Now, let's go ahead and set up the other interfaces we have on there. So conf t interface. What do we have here? Can't even tell what interfaces these are. So I can see that's G02, G03, and G10. Okay, let's go ahead and do those. Show, actually, let's go back. I want to see show VLANs. Show VLANs. Sorry, VLAN. So 3 is inside. So conf t interface GI02. and we put this in switch port mode access, switch port access, VLAN 3. And then we do the same for interface GI0 backslash 3. Switch port mode access, switch port access VLAN 3. That's great. Oh, I forgot to do no shut on the last one. No shut, exit, interface, GI0-2. Shut up this 2, exit, interface, GI1 backslash 0. We do switch port mode access, switch port access, VLAN 3. No shut, exit, exit, and then we write to memory. Okay, that does it. Okay, perfect. Let's go ahead and check it out. How we did here. I'm not sure if this is gonna assign them an IP address. Huh. I think I don't know, the CLI for this is going to be config. Let's go ahead and check it on the CentOS because I'm not sure how this works here. So let's get this started. Got a few seconds to boot up. Password is even with the 16 gigabytes of RAM that I gave the VM, it's at 93%, which is crazy. Go ahead and see if we have got an IP address on here. And we do. So you can see 192.168.3.3, perfect. So I'm gonna go ahead and end this video here. In the upcoming videos, we're gonna set up additional VLANs and we're gonna have additional components to our network infrastructure or topology. My next goal is gonna be setting up a security onion to monitor e- everything that's going on all the VLANs on this switch. We're gonna assign an interface on the switch that's gonna mirror everything that's going to all the VLANs to the security onion, and then we're gonna do the same on this switch. And we're gonna monitor everything that's going out or inside from the cloud, so that way we have both ends being monitored by a security onion. Uh, Hopefully you all enjoyed the video. If you did, give a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching.